how can we use this to test our worldview? Is there any test that we can do?
Sure, that's what we do. At this point, because starting points by definition can't be proven, you got to start somewhere. You don't try to prove or disprove them. What you do is you take them out for a test drive.
Okay.
How well do they work with the real world around us? And so we'll see, how much time we have for the examples. We might look at some scientific examples and philosophical tests to see how well we'll pit the Christian worldview against the atheistic worldview. And the first example we'll use testing these worldviews, these starting points, would be the idea of logic. So all we're going to do is we're going to think through what logic is.
Now, is this something that we can, say, the viewers out there, they can take note of what you're about to say and actually use these in conversations, in loving conversations, without getting too technical or even too intimidated when they talk to a skeptic?
Right, this is extremely practical, and I'm glad you brought that up, we do want to do this very graciously.
Yeah.
And this is not technical really at all, so the viewers could use this very simply.
Okay.
So we're going to think about what logic is, and we're going to evaluate it from each of the two different worldviews, Christian worldview, atheistic worldview. So I would ask an atheist, do you believe that logic exists? And they'd say, well, of course I do. Why would you ask? So I could just check it. Do you believe there are actually laws of logic, like the law of non-contradiction? I can't both be sitting here talking to you right now and not sitting here talking to you right now. Are there laws of logic? And they would say, yeah, there are laws of logic. Okay, are these laws physical things? Can I take them into a laboratory and weigh them and paint them and bend them? Say, well, no, they're not physical things, they're non-physical things. Okay, are they the same everywhere, these laws of logic? Are they the same, here in Dallas as they are in other parts of the country, on the moon, or are they different in different places? The atheists would say, well, no, the laws of logic are the same everywhere.
Okay.
Okay, do they change? Will the laws of logic be the same tomorrow as they are today? Were they the same 1,000 years ago, or do they change over time? And they would say, well, no, they don't change. I would say, okay, so you're telling me you believe there are laws of logic that are non-physical things, they're the same everywhere, and they don't change.
Yeah.
I'd say, yes. Okay, I have one final question for you then. Where did they come from? Using your starting point, your worldview, the thing that you chose, help me understand, where do these non-physical laws of logic come from? Because as an atheist, the only thing you think exists is matter and energy, physical stuff.
That's true.
We've never seen matter and energy create a non-physical thing, but you believe in these non-physical things. Also, using your starting point, the thing you chose, help me understand, what is it in your worldview that tells you these laws are the same everywhere? And lastly, what is it in your worldview that tells you they never change? There's actually absolutely nothing in an atheistic worldview that can account for laws of logic that are non-physical, the same everywhere, and they don't change.
Wow.
Okay, did we just disprove their worldview? No, we're not trying to.
No.
Just testing it, and it's not looking good so far. Then you switch over to the Christian worldview.
Okay.
How does a Christian handle this? Very simply. Christians believe in a God who is non-physical, he's the same everywhere, and he doesn't change. That God created a universe that operates under laws of logic that reflect his character. They are non-physical, the same everywhere, and do not change. It makes perfect sense in a Christian worldview, but it's totally antithetical to an atheistic worldview.
Wow. And that's very simple, and you can ask the same question to two different people and say which one is more consistent. Okay. So anyone can do this.
Very simple. And again, you're just graciously asking questions, probing a little bit deeper to see how do they account for certain things given their starting point.
So, and of course, anyone who's honest would have to say, okay, yeah, this doesn't fully match my starting point if I'm starting from a naturalistic assumption that we're here because we're here. Then what do you say?
Well, two things. One is I would say, what, if your worldview can't even account for logic, you're kind of done, because you need to use logic to talk about anything else.
Yeah.
So with that, I would say, okay, let's do another test. And I would ask them, is there anything you think you know for sure? This has to do with the idea of knowledge and certainty. Anything that you feel that you really know absolutely for sure, there's no way you could be wrong. And they might say, well, I know I'm here right now. You say, okay, how do you know that? How do you know you're not just dreaming you're here? Because I'm talking to you. How do you know that you're not just dreaming you're talking to me? Because you're talking back to me. How do you know you're not just dreaming I'm talking back to you? Well, because I can pinch myself, I can feel it. How do you know you didn't just dream that you pinched yourself? Technically, we can't even scientifically prove that we're here right now. Now, there's a lot of great evidence to make it very reasonable to assume we really exist.
We really are. Yeah.
But you can't technically prove it. So then I would ask them another question. Out of all the information that's possible to know in the universe, what percentage do you feel you know?
Wow.
They'd probably say pretty small. I'd say, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But let's just say, for argument's sake, they said they think they know 1%.
Okay.
Okay, I'd say, okay, if you think you know 1% of everything, is it possible? Is it at all possible that something in the 99% that you're admitting you don't know would reveal you were actually wrong about what you thought you knew in the 1%? Is that possible? They'd have to say, well, yeah, it's possible. But if it's possible you're wrong about the 1%, do you really know the 1%? No. In fact, you can't know anything at all, for sure.
That's
and they'd say, well, you can't either. I'd say, are you sure about that? You know, it sounds a little juvenile, and we don't really want to go that route, but we're just thinking through this.
Right.
Now, it's interesting. There is one way you could know something for sure,
Okay.
and that is if you knew 100% of everything. Now, that doesn't look too good for us.
No,
to know
that's not going to
everything,
happen.
But there's one other way you could know.
Okay.
That is, if you knew someone who knew everything, and that person chose to tell you some of that in a way you could understand and didn't lie about it.
Okay.
This is the Christian worldview. Christians believe in a God who knows everything, and He's revealed some of that to us, and He doesn't lie.
Wow.
A Christian actually has a philosophical basis for claiming to know something absolutely for sure, whereas an atheist has to admit they could be wrong about everything.
That's amazing. And it's simple. It's something that anyone can do when witnessing. And I think today we're a little bit intimidated to go out and to talk to others because everyone has been steeped, or not everyone, but the vast majority of the population has been steeped in this idea that we are related to ape-like ancestors over millions of years of slow evolution. And this view has so permeated society, and it has so permeated society in a way that it's been taught as fact, that we're afraid to even come against that or appear ignorant.
Right. The quote would be like, oh, right, you're right, and all the scientists are wrong. And it is intimidating. While most people believe in evolution because they've been taught that most people believe in evolution, but my experience, 33 years, is that the vast majority of people I talk to might believe in evolution, but they themselves can't give you any facts. They just say, well, there's tons of books out there. Go get a book if you want to know. It's like, okay, you don't know the details or the evidence, so you're actually exercising faith in it because you don't know the specifics.
Well, and it is faith, but they will sometimes spout these facts that they learned in university in such a way that they're pretty confident in themselves.